Okay, so even though I will absolutely be talking about chapter 270, that chapter is not what this video is about, because the events that have been unfolding over this chapter and the previous one have me very perplexed about the future of Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole. And if this is all leading to where I think it might be, then I'm even more confused about why we took this road to get here, when there were very clearly much better options that Gege could have taken. Really quickly though, before we continue, make sure to leave a like. It helps a ton with these JJK videos, so thanks for doing so if you did. To get somewhat straight to the point here, at the end of chapter 269, we became preview to a conversation held between, forgive me with the pronunciation of this name because I never really learned it because of who this character is, but Mai, I think, and an older woman in charge of the new Shadow style. It stated that the older woman was making great efforts to bolster up the forces of her own organization so that they'd be able to stand alongside the three big families of the Jujutsu world, and then eventually take over the Jujutsu headquarters as well as the sorcery world as a whole. But Mai puts a stop to this by ending that leader's life with a quickness. Now, the reason why this is so noteworthy is because in that conversation, we're also given a tiny update on the state of the previously mentioned Big Three families. As most should already know by now, the Zenins are in utter ruin thanks to the efforts of Maki, but the other two, the Gojo and the Kamo families, are seemingly headed for an all-out war with each other. You see, Satoru Gojo, back when he was still alive, was the reason that these clans and families never broke out into all-out war. He was way too dominant of a force in their eyes, so the massive amount of risk really wasn't worth the reward, because it would basically just be an impossible task. However, now that Satoru is gone, there's no one powerful enough to deter these families. A war will ensue, and Mai even hinted at this very outcome herself within chapter 269. Now, when we flash forward to chapter 270, things get even stranger. Because not only is Kenjaku somehow alive with Takaba, or maybe they're both in the afterlife, it's not made explicitly clear, that's just a theory that's been brought up. However, if they were in the afterlife, there would have been no need to cover Kenjaku's face with a speech bubble, considering that most people reading already think he's dead. Regardless though, the two of them are working on comedic material in tandem. And while that's going down, there's also this weird dude with big eyes? But moving on to what's most important here, at the end of chapter 270, it's revealed that apparently there's a new Culling Games player that has been harassing people, and Yuji, Nobara, and Megami have been sent to go deal with the cursed user, who I can only assume will be the one and only Satoru Gojo. And I know already what the response to that is going to be. Oh, we're tired of hearing this. This is nothing but Gojo cope. Him literally coming back would undermine everything that he was trying to do with his death. Like, I get it, okay? I get it. I get what's going on. But the reason why I say that it's him is because who else would you put at the end of the supposed final chapter of the series that would be worth any amount of care from the audience? The only answer to that question is Gojo. I will say this though, if it turns out that that cursed user is actually Gojo, one, y'all owe me $5, but I also fully expect there to be some twist involved with his return. Like, he's got a new body, or he doesn't have the 6 eyes, or something like that. Whatever it ends up being, I imagine it will somewhat mirror what ended up happening to Kite in Hunter x Hunter, just because of how much of a Togashi fan Gege is, and the setup for this to happen is actually perfect. Anyway, now I know I said I was going to get straight to the point earlier, and I didn't really do that because I needed to lay all this info out first. But I'll get to it now. Simply put, this does not feel like an actual ending to a series. If anything, it actually feels like a setup for a sequel series. Because if Gojo does come back and ends up being much weaker than he was before, which is a very real possibility, then he just won't be enough of a deterrent anymore to stop the families from going at it. Which would then lead us to having an actual sequel for this series about the families battling it out for the supremacy of the Jujutsu world. On the flip side though, while the idea of a possible sequel is very exciting, if it is actually in the works, then why the hell have we been bulldozing through the ending of a quote-unquote part 1? I was under the assumption that Gege was wrapping up this story so quickly because he either felt the story was dragging on and wanted to wrap it up with the conclusion where he attempted to please everyone, or that he was being pressured to end it for a litany of other reasons. Or maybe something else entirely. But if the purpose behind speeding through this ending is just to give us another story, then that's gonna leave an extremely bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, because we were invested in these characters and in these antagonists and were hoping that they'd be done justice by the mangaka that had created them. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. Or at least, and I think this is very reasonable to say, it wasn't done as well as it could have been. But criticism aside, as of right now, there's no guarantee that a part 2 is even coming for Jujutsu Kaisen. There was information put out saying that there was a happy announcement that would come with the next chapter, and an editor for the series did say that there will be more to come, but I remember this exact same thing happening with the ending of My Hero, which caused that fanbase to get all excited at the prospect of a sequel, only for the announcement to be a popularity poll. So, it's going to be what it's going to be. When September 30th comes around, chapter 271 may truly be the final chapter of this series. Only time will tell. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this one, so thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with the notifications on, and while you're down there commenting, let me know. Are you interested in a sequel for Jujutsu Kaisen, or after reading the series in its entirety, are you just good with leaving it at chapter 271, if there is a sequel announced? Either way, let me know, and with all that said, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody!